Hey Encounter Youth, welcome to the YouTube channel. We're so glad that you're able to join us here. My name is Jeremiah. I am the pastor of Encounter Youth, and today's video is all about reflection of summer 2022. You guys came out and really enjoyed a lot of the events that we're doing throughout the summer, but there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes in order to get the events ready for you guys. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to give you some insight on what was happening, how the events happened, what were the ups and downs, as well as kind of an overview of the events that we did. And hopefully that helps you, if you missed out on those events, be able to see what we did and what better way to do it, not by myself, but with our two interns, Aiden, who's right there, and Koji. And behind the cameras, we're gonna give a little shout out to Sophia. She's working behind the scenes in the camera. Hopefully we can get her on camera somehow, but we'll make a way. But before we start, hey guys.
Hello.
What an awesome summer, eh? And we're not done yet. We still got a couple things to do, but we were able to take some time to record here live at the Olive Branch stage, so that's pretty cool. And hope you like this setup. We don't have any sponsors, but if you guys know anybody who wants to sponsor this video, let us know. We need sponsors. But so first of all, we're gonna go right into it, okay? And you guys had a lot of pressure. I think out of maybe all the internships that have happened in the past, this was probably the most challenging. And I'm super biased because I've only been here for a couple of years, but I think this was the hardest because you had to deal with 2 years of COVID where nobody was able to meet in person, right? And this was the year, and this was the summer that you had to bring it. Right? You had to come with a bang and you had to say, hey, this is who we are. These are the events that we're going to do, and we're going to make it memorable for you to forget those 2 years, hopefully, right? But let's first talk about the ups and downs because there's a lot of them, right? It happens. That's life, and that's that part of that internship. But I think the biggest the biggest down was COVID, right? So if you can share with me and share with us actually that experience of what COVID was like and what kind of drove you guys to doing a summer like this, and what drove you towards doing great things.
Yeah, so definitely the last 2 years and the past two summers, we obviously had COVID and all that stuff, and we had Zoom meets, and there wasn't really that much connection happening because obviously we're not face to face. I can't see you, and so we're kind of building like, I wouldn't say superficial relationships, but we're not really talking to each other, right? And this summer was a lot of pressure because it was kind of the most real-ish summer that we've had in the last few years. And obviously, a lot of people are new that we met online and haven't met in person. So it was kind of like a rude awakening of like, oh my gosh, these are like people in real life and I have to talk to them. Yeah. But yeah, it was really challenging because we knew that, you know, we're being face to face, and now we have to build relationships and we have to connect with people, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good point. How about you, Koji? What did you feel?
Well, on the same topic, I think COVID created like a really low dip in our faith, like for all of us, being online, and I thought that it created higher expectations for us to try and like, I guess, revive and maintain that faith, which is something I ended up talking about later in the summer. So
yeah, and we're going to be talking about that as well in that experience. But I think with COVID being such a low, right, there was also a big high where one of you has been a part of our internship program here at TOB for a long time, and one of you is totally new to it. So kind of talk about that experience and what you guys brought when you came to those interviews, as well as when you started the internship this summer.
Well, like you said, I've worked at the church the past 2 summers, but I worked in kids ministry. So this is actually the first time I'm working at Encounter Youth, and it's also Koji's first time. So we're both new to this position. We've both like helped volunteer and like throughout the year, whether it's in our kids ministry, kids branch, or at youth nights, like help volunteering, or just around in the church on Sunday service. but we weren't. I guess we didn't expect, or we weren't prepared to like write emails and like do all this admin stuff and like call parents. So it was kind of surprising. It was also like, whoa, like this is what Jeremiah has to do throughout the year. So yeah.
Yeah, it really gave me a good behind the scenes look, and it was refreshing to see how things work and how much work is actually being put into youth nights. And I guess it's made me have like a greater appreciation for what I usually take for granted or what's usually routine.
And like all of you, and we're gonna give a round of applause to Koji because this is actually his first job, right? Like it's a huge step, right? Like I'm was really impressed that you took this first job and took it like running, right? And you didn't stop, and you're still here, so that's good. But listen, the experience was good, and now we're going high low, and then the biggest thing that I guess we witnessed was the weather here in Toronto, in Markham, or wherever we were going to go, as well as things that were like we couldn't control, right? Which meant we had to cancel events. Like, what was that experience like, and the behind the scenes between you and Koji going back and forth? Talk about that a little bit, because these events we were pumped up about these events for sure.
So at the beginning of the summer, when we were kind of at that, we weren't rock bottom, but we were kind of at the base, like our foundation, and we were coming up with events. We came up with like this so-called perfectly planned schedule of like, oh, we're gonna go here and go here, and we're kind of like, oh, everything's gonna work out. People are gonna come, but obviously things don't go as perfectly planned as you think it will be. So a lot of stuff we had to cancel, and we sort of had to adjust to it. And I think because of all of those decisions we had to make on such short notice, that it helped us with our time management and also decision making. Obviously, it's not easy, or it doesn't feel good to cancel events that people would go to or would look forward to. So it's definitely hard for us, but obviously we can't control things like the weather and capacity and all that stuff. So
Yeah. You, Koji, how did you feel about all this?
Well, like Ian said, when you have like such like a perfectly planned schedule, I guess, and an idea for what you have for the summer, and you have to like, I guess, crush those dreams. It's like really such a bad feeling. Like you make these promises to the kids that you have such fun activities planned, and then these I guess circumstances that are beyond your control kind of like ruin it. So I guess it's like the most for me it would be the most frustrating part of the internship.
Well, let me tell you guys, first of all, these events weren't like easy events. They were events that were happening at the church. These were events that we were planning, like Canada's Wonderland, which was going to be extremely amazing because that was something that a lot of people haven't gone to for a long time. And then off to the beach, right? And that's always fun, taking the bus together and getting to the beach and having fun and then coming back. Like, those are events that we had to cancel, but we're going to be talking about the good events that actually did happen, which I'm excited to talk about because there was a lot of work that was put into it. But before we get into that, okay, we're going to talk about you two, right? You guys are, you've known each other for a long time, have come to the church for a long time, but really didn't really connect or weren't friends, let's say. But I think now it's much different. But if you can shine a little light on that, love to hear about that.
So Koji and I have been to the youth group for, I'm 7 years, he's about 6 years. So we've known each other for a long time. We're 1 year apart, obviously. So Koji's 1 year younger than me, but we didn't really connect as much as we do now. It was more like maintained or kept to small talk. And like, oh, if we were on the same team for like a game, it'd be like, oh yeah, you got this, Koji, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never really talked as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I found out that Koji got the position, I was like, oh, like I never really talked to Koji that much. I don't know what I don't know if he's organized, you know.
Yeah.
But what I learned was that he's very careful with his decisions. His decision making is like off the charts. It's like crazy. Like it kind of puts me in check and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's very diligent. Like he'll stay by his word and he'll do all that stuff.
He's blushing a little bit right now.
But like
I'm flattered.
not just like from a work like point of view, but
Yeah.
like from a friendship point of view.
Yeah.
Like Koji is very caring and like he cares about your well-being, let's say.
Yeah.
So if whenever I was feeling down, Koji would kind of like come for me and ask if I was okay, which is kind of endearing, and also like I kind of needed that in times of like cancellation and all that stuff. So
Okay, well, romance alert, romance alert. How about you, Koji? Like, Aiden's talk highly about you. No pressure. Just letting you know.
How I saw Aiden, I guess before the internship was, he's very like, he seemed very like wise, I guess, and I guess that's how I perceived him through the messages he's given in the past, and someone who I guess keeps to himself, but at the same time he like knows everyone at the church, and when I found out he also got the internship. I guess it was something I looked forward to based on how I perceived him initially. And I guess presently, how I see Aiden, still the same things, but also the way I see him today, he's like a mentor. And he's always there to guide me as well when I need help. And he always knows what to do as well. So I guess if I hit a brick wall, he always sees things in a different way.
Yeah.
And helps me out that way.
Well, a little behind the scenes for those, like we mentioned, we're going to tell you a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I think one Friday before the end of the day, Koji went to grab something upstairs, and they bike here to their jobs. And as we're closing up, Koji went upstairs to get something. So Aiden, because he loves Koji so much, grabbed his bike and brought it outside and set it aside, and then grabbed his bike and brought it outside, and kind of showed me a little bit of how close they got. And Sophia will say the same thing. She saw a little twinkle in Aiden's eye a little bit. You know, it was cute. No, listen, I'm so glad that you guys connected really well. In the perspective of myself interviewing you guys, I saw two different people, which I thought would have been a great match together, and I'm really glad that I got to interview you guys and say yes to it, and for you guys to accept that that job offer and to be able to be where you guys are today, right? But we'll talk a little bit more about them. They're kind of just keeping themselves, they're keeping it inside themselves, but they'll bring it out. They'll open up a little bit as the video goes on.